brought you TLC.
Oh my God! Edge for the 21 ladder!
And Money in the Bank.
Oh my God! Edge has done it! Edge has earned the opportunity to wrestle the world champion.
Comes his greatest WrestleMania yet.
Mick Foley versus Edge.
On April 2nd, the most watched champion of the past 5 years returns to the scene of his greatest triumphs.
I've never lost at WrestleMania.
And this time, it's hardcore.
Oh! God, what a concerto!
Witness the final destruction of Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22.
Mick, you're pathetic!
Courtesy of the Rated R Superstar. Edge.
Welcome to Last Match Standing, the podcast where we review, relive, and rank the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time. As always, I'm Spencer.
I'm Sexton Hardcastle.
I have a mouthful of barbed wire.
Ouch.
You think you know me.
Why didn't you say that as your hello, my name is?
Because I'm always Spencer.
You are always Spencer.
Because I'm not nearly as creative as the two of you.
Boring.
I'll take it. Let's mention how it is very appropriate that episode 27 we're covering Edge, because if you remember correctly, when Edge retired, his last match was in fact at WrestleMania 27.
Until now.
So interesting.
Yeah, and now we're back, obviously, because Edge, as everyone knows by now, has, of course, returned at the Royal Rumble for the first time in 9 years, and we thought it would be a great time to maybe put what is one of his greatest matches of all time onto this list of 100. So a quick thank you to everyone that voted on Twitter. It was a tie, which
was a tie.
awesome.
I was like freaking out. I'm like, well, no, we can't have a tie.
Yeah, so fun, which meant that, of course, the tie goes to the patrons, and our Patreon subscribers were able to select the match that we get to do this week.
In a landslide.
Yeah, and on Patreon, it was a landslide. So today, we are getting, from April 2nd, 2006, from the All-State Arena in Chicago, Illinois, from WrestleMania 22, Edge versus Mick Foley in a hardcore match.
Real quick, do you know what the tagline for WrestleMania 22 was?
Big time.
Yeah, I'm like the whole time. So when I saw it, I'm like, oh, just keep thinking of Randy Savage's cup of coffee promo. So I thought about coming with a cup of coffee and go, here's Mick Foley's cup of coffee in the big time. Just like throw it at you.
I do want to say that I do think Big Time by Peter Gabriel might be one of the weirdest WrestleMania themes of all time.
Didn't love it.
Yeah.
Did not love it.
But I do just... I kind of liked it just because it's so bizarre.
I just like because like WrestleMania with this big red lettering, big time. And I'm like... against the blue lettering, and then also is very confused. So the poster for WrestleMania features John Cena about to deliver a bulldog to Booker T. Yeah, those two do not have a match.
I am so glad you said that because every time I see it, I'm thinking, what the hell is this about?
Main event, John Cena, Booker T. No, it's not.
No, Booker T wrestles the Boogeyman.
Yeah, in a handicap match.
With Charmel.
With Charmel. Let me not forget Charmel.
And the Boogeyman beats him in like 30 seconds because he has a torn bicep.
Right. I actually have a Booker T story later, but
fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. But actually, since you mentioned the theme, or one of us mentioned the theme, on Raw, February 13th, where this sort of story begins, when they cut to Mick Foley for the first time in his special ref shirt, which is always great, the like faded.
Just looks like he just painted it with a...
Right.
He's in the.
It's just like a white button-up T-shirt. He just went up
Spray
the roller.
paint.
Not even spray
Exactly
paint. It looks like he just took like a roller, but like the roller was crooked. And I'm like, I know that's the point, but I love
like it, yeah.
I love when he's special guest.
So when they put him, like the camera on him, he's in the locker room and he is singing Big Time Did you notice? Did
It's
anyone
like
see
he
it?
knew.
Yeah, he was singing big time. And I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't have to be, but I really would like that to be the intro to this episode. So if you heard it, I won. If not, it was something very good as well, because there's plenty of options. I'm going to fight for that one.
After witnessing unarguably the greatest comeback in Royal Rumble history.
You're saying not? You saying it's undisputed?
It's undisputed. I mean, how can you dispute that this is not? This is the greatest Royal Rumble comeback in history.
That was the loudest crowd reaction I've heard in a long time.
I mean, there was no way we weren't doing an Edge match this week, right?
Oh no!
Speaking of great comebacks, we could have very easily have done a Santana Marella match instead.
I don't think Santana Marella had any good matches. Most of them were storyline.
Did she have
schmozzes.
any matches that didn't involve like 29 other women?
She had a hog pen match against Vicky and Chavo Guerrero. That one's funny, but it's like stupid. I was there live for that one.
Oh, lucky.
When we got our tickets, we're kind of on the side by the stage, and we got in there like, why is there a pig pin? And then moved the card. Ooh, a hog pin match. This is gonna be great. And it was like 20 minutes.
Said no one ever.
It was like 20 minutes of Chavo Guerrero bumping his ass off to make Santana look good.
All that to say is that I think we went with the right choice here of returns from the Rumble, and I think it would be hard to top Edge's return.
It's no mistake, I think, that this match is the one that won out, because I feel like this match at WrestleMania 22 is possibly what solidified Edge as a main event player in WWE, which is interesting to me, because we made a very similar comment about Triple H in his Royal Rumble match against Cactus Jack. We said that solidified his career as a main event player.
It did, because before that, he was like sniveling heel who got lucky. And then, oh no, look how fucking vicious and brutal this sadistic son of a bitch is.
So what is it about Mick Foley that brings out the absolute best in people? What is it about Mick Foley that makes people main event level performers?
Well, because for me personally, storyline, anytime like Mick has this kind of match with somebody, it's like, well, Mick is the most sadistic son of a bitch in the planet, so if you want to beat him, you have to sink even lower than Cactus Jack. And to be fair, even though he's wearing red flannel and he's wearing the wanted shirt, he is not wearing the cheetah print boots. So this is not Cactus Jack.
That's right.
Technically,
that's
is just
clear
Mick Foley.
distinction. Yeah, that's a good distinction to make.
Now, he does do some very sadistic shit this match.
So... And we might get into this a little later on, but was this Mick Foley's one WrestleMania moment? You can't count the WrestleMania 20 loss. You can't count WrestleMania 2000 Fatal 4-Way.
Pretty sure if you ask Mick, he'll tell you this is like the peak of his career.
So two things. One, someone did ask Mick Foley on WWE.com. He did an interview while on the road to WrestleMania while he was the Raw general manager, and they asked him what he thought his WrestleMania moment was.
Oh, it has to be this,
and it was this. And on .com. So I think he thinks that.
I can remember watching his documentary For All Mankind when they even asked him I had this amazing match with Triple H in the Garden at Royal Rumble. We had in his opinion, and honestly, the more I think about it, even in my opinion, an even better match. The Hell in a Cell, No Way Out. That's a classic. I cried as a child when that match ended. And he's like, all right, that's the best way to go out.
Well,
and then they called me 3 weeks later and told me I was going to main event WrestleMania. And then he main evented WrestleMania after, in his own words, he tried to rid the world of pork ribs and gained a lot of weight. And he goes for that Cactus Jack elbow and he misses the fucking table.
Yeah, we don't talk about that match.
Generally speaking, you won't find it here. That's for sure.
Then he came back for the WrestleMania 20 match. In his own words, "Oh man, please don't let me suck out there." And he just was never satisfied with it. So I was like, "Oh, I gotta come back then." And he has that amazing match with Randy Orton at is it Backlash?
It is, yeah.
Like a
right
month
after
later,
WrestleMania.
oh, there we go. That's the old Mick Foley back. You're right. I am the old Mick Foley. I'm gonna come back again. And then he had a terrible feud with Ric Flair.
Oh, I forgot about that.
They don't talk about it in his documentary.
Oh, boy.
They talk about it in Ric Flair's documentary, but
yeah.
not in Mick's.
Yeah.
But this was like the big, all right, I've got one more in me. We're going to have the best match of the night. And fuck me, they had the best match of the night.
This is a guy who, growing up in Long Island, would hitchhike to wrestling shows at Madison Square Garden, where he would eventually perform.
I just think it's amazing because they always talk about this, but when they always talk about the Don Morocco Superfly match where he jumps off the cage, 15 feet high. He's like 8 feet in the air. You can see Mick Foley in the front row.
He's there. This is a guy who made home videos of himself as a WWE superstar named Dude Love doing dives off of his neighbor's roof into cardboard boxes.
Who hasn't?
I've never done that, but I've done some stupid shit.
Explains a lot, right?
I mean, like if you hear the story of how Mick did like wrestling training, he drove from like Cortland all the way down to Pittsburgh.
Right?
That's like a 10-hour drive. Then he had to put the ring together by himself, which if you never put a wrestling ring together, usually takes like 12 people and still takes like 2 or 3 hours. He did it by himself, piece by piece, which would take him another 7 or 8 hours. Then he would get to wrestle. So this is like a guy that has driven from like Cortland, New York, down to Pittsburgh, put a ring together by himself.
Unbelievable.
Hasn't eaten or slept. Now he's going to get a wrestling lesson from Dominic DeNucci. And then once they're done, he's going to break the ring down, drive back to Cortland. And he did that.
If you're going to drive 10 hours for something, it has to mean everything.
Yeah, like you drive for like his round trip was like 10 hours. So it was like 4 or 5 hours drive.
Yeah.
He'd spend anywhere from 8 to 10 hours building the ring.
After doing all of that, you start jobbing to the British Bulldogs and take a Dynamite Kid clothesline.
Broke his jaw.
That makes it impossible for you to eat solid food for several weeks.
It's like 3 weeks, ridiculous. And you can watch that match. It's brutal. They just take their paces. I'm like, who's this fucking rookie? I don't care. I'm gonna break his jaw.
I mean, Dynamite Kid. Well, it was Dynamite Kid.
It was Dynamite Kid.
I mean,
so I guess
he definitely didn't have a reputation for being stiff as fuck or anything. Like that wasn't
Dynamite Kid. You talking about the guy that got his teeth knocked out by Jacques Rougeau?
What?
Oh, have you ever heard that story?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So eventually, Foley would go on to make a name for himself as Cactus Jack. And honestly, I mean, would it be fair to say that Cactus Jack helped pave the way for hardcore wrestling in America?
Oh, he did.
I mean,
hands down.
Feuding with people like Eddie Gilbert, Sting, Don Morocco, and of course, Big Van Vader. Foley and Vader went on to have a Texas death match at Halloween Havoc 1993, which is considered to be the most brutal match in WCW history.
Is it the match where Vader didn't wear gloves and just beat the shit out of Mick, and like both his eyes are swollen shut and he's just bleeding?
It was so bad that management refused to book them at another live pay-per-view event ever again.
Well, if you don't know about this story, leading into that match, that was the Vader in the ring. I feel no pain. I feel no pain. I fear no man. And Harley Race said, hey, you go in that ring and you hit him as hard as you can in the back with a snow shovel. Well, if you don't do it, I'll do it. So while Vader is like, I feel no pain, he gets hit with a snow shovel. Oh! And in his own words, he hit me, so I didn't wear gloves and I hit him back.
So they did, and they didn't have another pay-per-view match.
No.
But...
Is that on the network, that match?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm pretty sure you can watch on the network. I'm pretty sure it's going to be black and white. If you
they
do
did
that.
have another match, however, one magical night in Munich, Germany.
Where all the magical nights happen.
Vader and Foley would put on a performance that maybe topped their Texas death match. Foley performs a hangman.
He did that spot like every match.
It's a movie he's extremely familiar with.
Oh yeah, but the story.
What's the hangman, Paul?
Oh, the hangman's when you get thrown to the ropes, and normally you'll see people. Oh, their arm or their leg gets caught up, but he would flip over the ropes and get his head caught between the top and second rope. He did it like damn near every night for years. When they did it in Munich, so the ring crew that night were normally roadies for like concerts and rock and roll. They had never built a wrestling ring before, so the ropes were way too tight. Mm-hmm. So when he got strapped in those ropes, he could not move, and he's like, he's gonna die. Well, when he does get free, you can actually you can see it if you watch. It's a house show, so it's all VHS. You can see it. He comes back in the ring. Vader goes to throw a punch, and you just see this beep. And then Vader looks down. What the fuck was that? Looks back up, and then Mick is just bleeding from the right side of his head, and they keep wrestling.
So actually, when Foley does re-enter the ring after like falling out of the ring when he gets out of the hangman, you can see it. So at first, Vader claimed for years that the ear just came off, like Paul said.
Yeah,
it was
he throws a work punch, and
right?
then all of a sudden, but it looks like he just rips
However,
it off.
In the video, Vader did admit after reviewing the footage that he removed Foley's ear.
Oh, you watch it clear as day. He goes to hit him, and then the ear just falls off.
Yeah.
But Vader stops, looks at it, and then goes back to punching Mick.
I mean,
Of course. What else would
Well,
you
because
do?
he was like, "What the fuck was that?" He was confused.
Oh, boy.
He didn't intend to rip his ear off.
what's even more interesting is Cactus Jack and Kevin Sullivan were booked to win the tag team championship at Slamboree. So Foley had to choose between reattaching his ear or wrestling in the pay-per-view and winning the championships. Guess what he chose?
It's Mick Foley. What the hell do you think?
He wanted to win his only championship in WCW, and it was his only championship in WCW.
To be fair, they did what they could. But in his own words, since his ear was pushed off as opposed to cut off or ripped off, they couldn't exactly put it back on. So they attached what they could, and so now he just has a tiny ear and a normal ear.
So here's the catch. Foley made this decision with the intention to use the missing ear as a storyline. WCW refused to do that.
That's horrible, man. We can't do that.
So frustrated by WCW's reluctance to work a storyline around losing his ear, Foley worked an ECW show on June 24th, 94. And during a promo, Foley actually spits on the tag team championship belt, throws it on the ground, and there's a huge pop from the ECW fans.
Yeah, if you've never seen this promo, it is amazing.
It's really good.
Like, he did not cut a bad promo in ECW. They're all amazing. If you like, that one's amazing. The Kane Dewey one will bring you to tears.
And I mean, we all know about Cactus Jack's illustrious, perhaps infamous career in ECW. What some people may not know are Foley's absolute wars he had in IWA Japan. So on August 20th, 1995, IWA organized a King of the Death match tournament at Kawasaki Dream.
A lot of
Yep.
wimps in that match.
Oh, no.
So this featured some of the bloodiest, most violent matches of Foley's career. So, and it was kind of one of those where it's just like, okay, you're on the first level, then stage one is this kind of gimmick match. If you make it to the next round, we crank it up a notch.
Well, I think like the first round, the ropes are wrapped in barbed wire.
So
Like,
Cactus
it
Jack's
just
first
kept
round
getting
match was actually his first round match was a barbed wire baseball bat thumbtack death match.
That's not too bad.
Is
Where
that not
he-
what this WrestleMania match is?
And he defeated Terry Gordy in the first round.
Bam, bam.
The second round was a barbed wire bed of nails match where Cactus Jack defeated Shoji Nakamaki. And in the final match, he went one-on-one with none other than Mr. Terry Funk.
Of course.
Man he was very familiar with.
Yes.
This was a barbed wire rope, barbed wire and C4 board time bomb death match.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
So there was a time bomb in this match, and Cactus Jack won.
He did. Him and Terry got severe burns, but they...
He sure did. But Cactus Jack wins with the help of Tiger Jeet Singh, and so severe burns is so bad that his parents were asking, like, and his wife were just like, "What's that smell?" It's like, he smells something.
That was singed hair and melted skin.
Literally. Paul,
Yes.
if I requested to book you for this tournament, how much would your booking fee be? What would you charge?
10 grand.
What? What?
Mick Foley. How much money do you think Mick Foley received for the entire night? 3 matches in one night, doing all that crazy shit.
$500.
I mean,
You're staring at my notes right now, so you know what
no. I'm not. I can't see. It's a little bit further away than you think. Because what I'm thinking of, and that's what the look on my face was. You know, Paul said $10,000, and I'm thinking to put me through something like that.
10
Yeah.
grand easy.
I would need
$1 million.
A lot of more than that.
I need some of that Saudi blood money.
Maybe so. I don't know. I mean, you're saying it's a small. I mean, you're making it. What did you say, Paul?
I
$500.
say $500.
$1, Bob.
Mick Foley received $300.
Oh, fuck that.
For the entire
Even
night.
in 95, that is not enough to do all that.
Despite this, Foley recalls this night as his proudest performance in his career. I mean, just
Like really, like not Hell in a Cell,
Insane.
where he probably got like $7,000.
$300. Sweet.
I got paid more than that to do a scaffold match in a backyard.
oh, nice. Yeah, I was there for that. Yeah, almost lost your thumb.
I did almost lose my thumb, but
See?
I got paid more than $300.
See?
He literally was hanging off of the scaffold
Oh, yeah, so
by
I'm
his
supposed-
thumb.
I'm supposed to take like a bump off the scaffold, and when I did, my thumb got caught, and so I start to fall. My thumb catches. I stop falling, and then I fell. And when I looked down at my hand, I actually have 2 scars in my right hand from this. So I'm like, wow, I'm bleeding a lot. And then I look at like my thumb, and there's just a cut from pretty much the base of my thumbnail all the way down to like my wrist, and I'm bleeding. And then I have like 2 or 3 like just like scars from it. And it was, but on the camera you hear a crunch sound.
Oh, that makes me
It was
squeamish a little bit.
It's beautiful.
my thumb dislocated and got like sliced up by the metal.
So, shortly after the King of the Deathmatch tournament, at the behest of Jim Ross, WWF hires Mick Foley full time. And he does go on to have what's considered one of the most iconic careers in professional wrestling.
I think that's a really good word.
Yeah,
for
he
it.
was hired as Manson the Mutilator, and then he became Manson, and then he became Mankind.
He did not like being called Manson,
No.
from what I've read.
I have a very interesting question for you. You are familiar that he had 2 different theme musics, correct?
He had the Cactus Jack music.
No. I mean, as Mankind when he debuted.
Oh yeah, he had the walkout music, and then he had the post match music, and they were 2 different themes.
Yeah, the post-match music is this beautiful piano music.
Yeah.
Do you know why he had piano music?
No.
His backstory is when he was a child, his mother wanted him to take piano lessons. And when he would make mistakes, she would break his fingers. That's why his middle and ring finger were taped up, and that's why he used the mandible claw.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's good.
Fucking Mick Foley.
They
dude.
dropped that pretty quickly, but he kept the outro music, and it's just this beautiful, serene, peaceful music. I'm
Love
like,
that.
"Oh."
That's really good.
I remember being a kid, I was terrified of Mankind.
Oh, yeah.
He's so scary.
So we've talked at length about Mick Foley. We talked about Mick Foley on a previous episode as well when Cactus Jack faced Triple H at Royal Rumble 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Edge. Did you know Adam Copeland was raised in Orangeville, Ontario, Canada by a badass single mom and has never met nor has seen a picture of his father?
How about that? Good for him.
Edge became fascinated with wrestling at a very young age, scoring 11th row seats to WrestleMania 6
You can
in the
see
Toronto
him,
Sky Dome.
You can see him during Ultimate Warriors God damn it, entrance, and you can see him on a couple of like the oh, look at all the fans at the Sky Dome. You can see him. He's got this fucking Hulk Hogan shirt on, his fucking mullet.
and he was 16. And at age 17, he won an essay contest at his local gym,
That's just amazing.
which is very perplexing to me in its own right.
He had to write an essay about why he thinks he should be like. It's like they're doing this thing where I remember because he said this. I watched his documentary and I remember researching this. He is an essay contest, and if you won, you basically got wrestling training for free.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so fucking cool.
Yeah, and that was the grand prize. And he won.
He won, and then Christian just got a bunch of student loans and paid for his.
So, so he does. It's weird though because Adam wins the writing contest at the gym. That makes sense. And he wins the training to train with Sweet Daddy Siki and Ron Hutchinson in Toronto. However, he chose to put his dreams on hold to help his mom pay bills. And he earns a college degree in radio broadcasting before he actually goes through with it and goes to the training.
Smart. Very smart.
Yeah.
So throughout the 90s, Copeland's wrestled the independent circuit in Ontario and in the Great Lakes area of the United States under the ring name Sexton Hardcastle.
There it is.
Along with his tag team partner, Christian Cage.
As part of the tag team Sex and Violence. And actually at the time, his tag team partner was his training partner, Joey Legend. And in the mid-90s...
Just Joe.
Just Joe. And in the mid-90s, he wrestled as Adam Impact for Tony Condello's Winnipeg promotion. And God damn it, if we covered this match before the Patreon Jeopardy episode, I'm not bitter. In 1997, Sex and Violence became part of a larger stable called Thug Life, joining the likes of Rhino, Zach Wilde, Bill Scullion, and
Christian Cage.
The
instant classic.
Love it. And I love that when Christian went back to the Indies, he brought it back.
Yeah, because he owned the name.
Yeah, that's awesome. Adam's work impressed the business manager of Bret Hart, Carl DeMarco, so much that Carl encouraged Copeland to submit an audition tape to WWF. Although he didn't hear anything back at that time, DeMarco would eventually go on to become president of WWF Canada. That kind of helps.
Yes, it really does.
Puts in a good word upstairs, and Copeland does seize the opportunity in 96 when Bob Holly's house show opponent bails.
Yep.
And so needed a last-minute replacement. Edge is thrown in there, wrestles for about $210.
Oh, yeah.
Which
less
is
than Paul
almost as much as Mick Foley did for the three
Yeah,
matches.
but he had, you're talking like last-minute replacement and like an undercard like job match.
Right.
Not a fucking 3-match, extremely insane hardcore.
Yeah, clearly worth $90 more.
Yeah.
But what's really, really cool, and I still can't believe it, WWF paid his outstanding college debt of around
Yes, they did.
$40,000. He didn't even have a contract.
Nope.
At this point, it's insane.
Yep.
In 97, DeMarco encourages Copeland to move to Calgary to train under Bret Hart, who at the time was quietly coaching the likes of Mark Henry, Ken Shamrock, and Test while recovering from knee surgery. Edge decided to bring Christian with him, so they both impressed Bret so much that Bret pulled some strings, and boom, Copeland signed a developmental contract.
Yep, $250 a week.
Makes his debut on Raw in 98 in a series of vignettes showing a deranged man randomly attacking people on the streets.
Actually, I do have one quick story I wanted to tell.
Yeah.
Before he got his contract, he'd gone up in Toronto, and they had a ring set up, and he goes out there, and then Michael Hayes is there, and he didn't tell the story. He just says that Michael Hayes is in the ring. We wrestled for about 10 minutes, and then Michael Hayes walked up to Jim Ross and said, he's a keeper. That's it.
Nice.
Like, that's it. He's a keeper. Keep him. Hire him.
Well, the vignettes are terrifying, right? He's just like literally walking around randomly attacking people.
Like subway trains, like 2 a.m, just going, rah, and attacking people.
This is made even more terrifying by his decision to enter the ring from somewhere in the crowd. So
Yes.
it was always like every time he's walking to the ring, it's like,
Where is he?
Oh shit! Is he gonna fucking beat up a fan? Like,
Do you want to know an amazing bit of trivia? This never made it to TV, but the original plan for Edge, the reason why he was like, he was supposed to be deaf.
really?
Yes. Vince Russo thought that was a great idea for a wrestling character.
Wow.
Oh, what if we got a deaf guy? He freaks out because he can't hit a bell. I'm like, Vince, shut the fuck up.
Do you know where he got the name Edge?
Is it like, was he a U2 fan or?
Nope.
No, I don't.
Spencer?
No idea. I assume every wrestling name comes from a former wife of Stone Cold
Okay,
Steve Austin.
okay. If it's not the band U2, he's got to be a huge.
You better eat that sandwich before it turns Edge cold.
Is he a big Final Fantasy IV fan?
No.
That's another guess.
Apparently, there was a radio station in Albany, New York, known as 103.9 The Edge.
Okay.
And he was just like,
That
that's
sounds
my
like a radio
name.
station.
So Edge obviously went on to have an insanely successful tag team career with Christian, initially aligning with the Vampire Gangrel.
Gothic lifestyle Gangrel.
Excuse me.
He's never called a vampire. They don't drop blood. It's a red viscous liquid.
It sure
White
is.
Wolf TM. Every time you see his name, there's a TM next to it, and at the end of every episode of Raw or SmackDown or pay-per-view, he wrestles on copyright White Wolf Inc.
But it's great because Gangrel has Christian with him, who is in the storyline Edge's brother. And so eventually, it's essentially like Edge versus Gangrel. They have this thing going, And then Christian and Gangrel are able to convince Edge to turn to the dark side.
No, like they make him drink from the goblet.
Yeah.
And then Gangrel's like, the blood of Gangrel now flows through you. Next week, he just comes out still wearing like his purple tights, black leather coat, sunglasses, but he's just with Gangrel and Christian, who are both wearing like the pirate shirt from Seinfeld. And they have like their black velvety tights on. They look like these gothic vampires. And here's Edge just wearing his black leather trench coat.
It's the Brood.
But he just does. He never fit in because it's like you got to live the gimmick, brother.
It was a very interesting start for Edge's career. But interestingly, Edge captured his first singles championship in 1999 at a house show in Toronto.
Yeah, he like beat Jeff Jarrett for the Intercontinental title and then dropped it the next night.
Yep. I don't know why they decided to do that.
See, I really think it's one of those. Let's see how he reacts. Wins a belt. Like, oh yeah, I'm so excited. Really, really humble. All right, now you're gonna drive back to Jeff Jarrett. Okay. Oh, okay.
That's what they do.
They test people.
We spoke at length about his iconic triangle ladder match series with the Dudleys and the Hardys in a previous episode, but
And more on that in a later episode.
it was clear that from the beginning of Edge's career, he was destined for greatness.
Oh,
He's one of those guys that's always in a good program. Who you got? You got Kurt Angle. You've got his great work with William Regal over the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
Booker T, great matches. He even went on to be WWE Tag Team Champions alongside the Hulkster.
Oh, I thought you were like, he's got like something like 21 tag titles. I don't know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I guess that wasn't really
He's
fair.
won a lot of tag titles. Like 8 of them were with Christian.
But he is the only person to win a tag team championship belt with Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
It's Hogan's only tag championship.
Oh, because he was always main event, brother.
I was about to say, I don't know who that surprises, but it shouldn't.
In September of 2002, this is interesting. Edge was injured in a ladder match against Eddie Guerrero that took place on SmackDown. This is the match that almost won out on the poll.
And I can guarantee you we will talk about it at a later date.
It's a great one. No, it's really, oh gosh, it's so good.
Excellent match. Yeah. Eddie frog splashes him at one point during the match while he's laid out on a ladder. Mm-hmm. And from that moment on, Edge's arms would start getting more and more numb over as months went on. And so eventually he made the very difficult decision to have neck surgery.
And he was gone for like a year.
Over a year.
A long time.
Yeah. He gets drafted to Raw in 2004, and he hasn't even made his return yet. No. But Edge does eventually return from injury, immediately gets paired with then world champion Chris Benoit, and wins the World Tag Team Championship. Give him another tag team partner. Why not? It's Edge.
They're both Canadian. They're practically brothers.
But after this, Edge would go on to pursue singles career, capturing Intercontinental Championships, becoming the first person to cash in Money in the Bank contract at New Year's Revolution in January 2006. The next night has a live sex celebration with Lita earning Raw its highest rating of all time. And Edge...
so fucking stupid.
So he's able to call himself the most watched WWE champion in history.
Well, that's where Rated R came from. It came from that segment.
Mm-hmm. And on the January 16th, 2006 episode of Raw, Edge defends the WWE Championship against then Intercontinental Champion, I believe. Wasn't Ric Flair the Intercontinental Champion during that match?
Yep. Yeah.
In a TLC match. In the main event of Raw.
Yep.
Do you remember this match?
I do.
Ratings, baby. Ratings.
Yeah.
So good. It's the only time in history I could remember there being a TLC match on Raw for the WWE Championship.
Nope. CM Punk and Ryback. Didn't they have a TLC match?
Really?
Yeah, they did, but I don't know if that was for the... what's that for the title? That was like Punk's first match back after being out for like 2 months with like knee surgery.
Because
Hey, Punk, I need you to go out there and put over Ryback.
You know why I remember that? Is because in his Are Your Arms Too Short to Box with God promo, he says... Hulk Hogan wasn't out there wrestling TLC matches against a monster like Ryback on free television. That's what he said.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yeah, so that's why I remember
the match where Ryback was going to dump on the table and he misses the fucking table
Yes.
and like almost broke his hip.
Yeah.
And then Ryback's like, well, I guess all his problems are my fault. I'm like, actually, motherfucker, they probably are.
So his first championship run is cut short because of Super Cena at the Royal Rumble.
Oh, you don't say.
But things take an interesting turn after that.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they do. I love that you brought in the cash in at New Year's Revolution. Obviously, one of after the turn of the century, one of the biggest moments since 2000. Right?
Yeah.
When you think about WWE moments, it was huge.
Because like everyone just assumed that he was just going to be like, all right, we're going to do a contract signing. Someone's going to get slammed through a table. Main event of, I don't know, pay-per-view. But that didn't happen. Like, John Cena goes through this elimination chamber. He's a bloody mess. He can barely stand up. Vince comes out and said, there's going to be one more match. John Cena, you're going to face this man who's cashing in his money in the bank. Edge comes out, spears him, wins the fucking title.
And it was the biggest shit to ever happen.
Right.
Because it never happened before. It was
No.
the first
The first.
time.
Yeah.
And that's where they coined the term the ultimate opportunist.
Because everybody thought, okay, I'm going to speak for everyone here and say everybody, or at least me, thought that Money in the Bank meant, oh, I want to challenge you next week on Raw.
Yeah, like he's just,
Had no
that's what we all
idea,
thought.
would never have thought after a grueling elimination chamber match where
would just
Cena
come
is
out
just,
and just
dead in the middle of the ring.
kill somebody.
It was
brilliant.
huge.
It was amazing and one of the more surprising things ever. It was just stupendous. And I, looking back at it now, it's been 14 years. I forget that he lost the belt right back because he does.
He
3
lost
weeks,
like 3 weeks later.
right. 3 weeks later at the Royal Rumble, like Landon said. But Edge gets a rematch. Right?
He
Because
does.
the rematch clause, right? So on the February 13th edition of Raw, he's set to face Cena in the main event of Raw for the WWE Championship. Mick Foley is the special guest referee. He's announced for this match.
Actually, wasn't that technically a February 16th edition of Raw? Wasn't this like the one Raw that took place on a Thursday?
I think you're right.
I
I think
this was the Thursday Raw.
because there's like a fucking something was going on that weekend. There's like one of the few times they did not actually.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. It was like I know there was like a time period where it was. Was this when it was on Spike or was it on USA at this
No,
point?
they just gone back to USA at this point.
Right, and so USA had this deal with the dog grooming
Oh, the fucking like
championships or
Westminster
whatever.
Abbey thing, or
Right,
whatever the hell it
and
is?
so
Dog show.
they would show the dog show on Monday and Raw on Thursday or something weird.
There was a couple
like
of
that.
years in a row they did that, and it was
Yeah.
like bullshit. I want to watch wrestling. Fuck these dogs.
right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
interesting.
if you go on the network, it'll say February 13th.
Yeah, I guess that's why I thought.
But this match actually took place on February 16th.
So wait, did it actually take place on February 13th, and then it was taped, and they played it?
I think it
on
was
that
point.
taped.
I
Thursday?
think it was
Aired it.
taped.
So that's what I was
right.
thinking. So
right.
maybe that's the
okay.
case.
That's what it was.
Interesting.
Neither one of you is right, but neither one of you is wrong.
There you go. Anyway, so Foley's the special guest referee, and in that promo that I kind of had mentioned at the jump about Foley singing "Big Time," Lita and Edge come into the locker room, and Lita's playing the whole sweet, let me hug up and tell you how great you
hey,
are.
Mick, you're the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
You're the hardcore legend. You're just the best.
Until Edge says, "All right, we'll cut the crap. Just don't screw me over in the main event." And he says, "If you because Mick Foley says that I'll count to 3, no problem." And Edge says, "If you don't, it'll be the biggest mistake you ever made." Which, how many times has Foley heard that in his life, right?
A lot.
Yeah, so they end up going to the main event, and Foley calls it right down the middle. He's totally fine. Nothing nefarious happens until the end, the majority of the match. And King says this, and I just was like, we're still in 2006. I had to remember that. Because in the middle of the match, King says, can you imagine the favors Leader would do for Mick Foley?
Oh my God.
Fuck off, Jerry.
Yeah.
What does that?
I'm so sorry.
have to do-
I'm so sorry. Listen. I just gave Jerry the King Lawler credit for that because it sounds like something he would say, but it was Jonathan Coachman that said that.
Oh, fuck off, Coach. You see, Coach, that's
that
why.
is a serious
See, shit like that is why Coach has been fired like 3 different
Well,
times.
actually, that makes so much sense because if you go back and watch Raw during this time period, it was Jonathan Coachman, Jerry Lawler, and Joey Styles.
Yeah.
And
Two
Jonathan Coachman is the heel commentary, and Jerry Lawler is sort of face and then just says some weird shit every now and then.
Yeah.
And then Joey Styles is Joey Styles.
Yeah. So apologies, Jerry the King Lawler. You will never hear this, but apologies. I
No, he
just
won't.
gave you credit for that quote. That was not yours.
He's got plenty of them.
Yeah. So my bad. I'm sure you all thought it was
Yeah.
him as well. So what ends up happening is Foley gets knocked down in the match and gets tossed to the outside. I don't know if you guys watched the match. I ended up watching it, and it's got a really weird finish. So Foley gets pushed out of the ring by Edge by mistake. Foley comes back in after Edge has hit Cena with the WWE Championship, and Cena is on the ground. Edge goes to pin him, and Foley gets in the ring, but he doesn't count for some reason. So Edge stands up, walks to the other side of Cena, pins him again. Like nothing happened in between that moment, and then that's when Foley starts to count. So it's very weird. Ultimately, Cena wins, and after the match, Lita low blows Foley, and Edge spears him because it was all Foley's fault, of course.
Well,
So
he should have counted. He didn't count. Like, why the fuck aren't you counting, Mick?
yeah, I don't know, but it was weird because it didn't look intentional. Like that wasn't how they were actually going to play it.
Like really bad miscommunication.
Yeah, it looked very messed up.
Something screams to me that like Lita hitting with the low blow is like we got to save this segment. And
Yeah,
like, spear him. Like what? Just fucking do it. Fuck you, old man. We're gonna kill you, even though you're only like 36. You're not old.
yeah. He's not. He's in his 40s at this point. He's not.
I don't think
he's not old. Or he's
40.
30. Maybe he's 38. I can't remember. He's not old.
Well, if he's 34 in 2000, then he would be just about to turn 40.
Yeah. So the next week on Raw, the show opens with a women's battle royal for the #1 contendership for the women's title. That's how the show opens, but it's mostly an end.
Did I just hear
a
you
means
say?
to an end.
Did I just hear you say the show opens with a pee break?
Well, at this point, yes.
Well, it's better than a 30-minute in-ring promo.
It was like a 5-minute women's battle royal. Candice Michelle wins,
Oh, only 5 minutes. Wow.
and Edge and Lita come out and stop her from talking. Like they just interrupt, and Edge tells her literally to hit the bricks toots. That's what he says. And
Well, I
she
mean,
gets out
if
of
you've
it.
ever heard Candice Michelle talk, I mean, I can't say I blame him on
Right.
that one.
So that night on Raw, Edge faces Jim Duggan, and he tells Mick Foley, yeah,
So do you know?
Oh, I gotta watch this.
Do you remember why he's facing Jim Duggan?
because of the whole ho thing.
No.
Right?
So Edge says over the past several weeks, fans have been giving Lita their best hacksaw Jim Duggan impression.
Right.
Paul?
Oh!
Very good.
You
But
didn't see it, but I threw my thumb out when I did that.
was
and my
perfect.
And
tongue
stuck his
just-
tongue aside.
You have to.
it was perfect.
That's how he does it.
So Edge beats up Jim Duggan and challenges Foley afterwards to a match at WrestleMania. He says you got a week to figure it out. Right. The next week, we're sort of towards the end of February, Foley does make an appearance on Raw and says, listen, Edge is trying to blame him for the WWE title. And Foley says, you had it and you choked. You had the title, you lost it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting promo.
It is. And I really like it because it's kind of legitimate sounding. Foley says, listen, I'm the greatest transitional champion of all time. He says, because I was a transitional champion 3 times.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah,
that makes me
he
the
was.
greatest.
Like I think his longest reign is like a week.
It's
not
rough,
long.
but it's very true.
Actually, this brings up another CM Punk promo. When Mick Foley tries to convince CM Punk to go into Hell in a Cell with John Cena after they've already had 1,000,001 matches, Mick Foley says, if you want to talk about numbers, let's talk about numbers. And my number is 29, the number of combined days that I held the WWE title.
Oh my God.
Damn.
Yeah, that's right.
Because like 2 of his reigns were literally like 24 hours.
Not long at all. So Foley says, I don't accept your wrestling match. Like, I won't do it. He says, you're right. If I had a wrestling match with you at WrestleMania, I would lose. But
Spoiler alert.
there is another kind of match that I would have with you. And so he challenges Edge to a hardcore match. The next week on Raw, it's March 6th. They have a lot of like weird ways to bring up the Foley Edge feud because this time Lita is facing Maria, based off of a mixed tag match that happened a long time ago with John Cena. And anyway, so at the end of that match, Foley comes out to save Maria from getting speared by Edge, and he ends up getting a concerto. And Edge, of course, then says, yeah, I'll totally fight you in a hardcore match now that I've hit you with a
I'm
chair.
going to kick your asshole, man.
Yeah. This leads us to Saturday night's main event on March
when they tried to bring it
18th.
back.
Yeah, March 18th, Saturday
Yeah,
night's
this was
main
the
event.
first Saturday night's main event since 1992.
Yeah, how about that?
And
And
they did a couple of them from like 06 to like 09.
I liked
and they
them.
just
I
stopped
watched
doing
all
them.
of them.
I'm like, no, like bring it the fuck back. That could be a network special. There, I just saved you a bunch of money, WWE.
There you go.
There you go. And they had the white ropes.
Yes, they
and
did.
a really cool set.
And it was in Detroit.
Well, I mean-
the building was kind of white on the inside, so I loved it. I loved it a lot.
They should bring it back.
I agree. Edge hosts an episode of The Cutting Edge, and Mick Foley comes out. And I wish that I hadn't seen this promo before the WrestleMania match because it kind of spoils everything because they bring out thumbtacks. Foley ends up doing a concerto to Edge, but they also light a table on fire that night. Edge while Foley's on his way down the ring, lights a table on fire. I don't know why. They immediately go and
This will
blow
be
it
in
out.
your future, Mick.
Yeah, it's a little breadcrumb, and I actually kind of like that because at the time, no one would have considered that that's a possibility that they would actually do that in a match.
No, because they don't do that in WWE. They only did that in ECW and occasionally in Japan. This does not happen.
Right, but you don't. I don't know. I guess for me, watching the moments back to back, it ruins this. It kind of takes away a little bit of the surprise and the
because you have
excitement of what
to
happens.
consider that there are weeks in between.
Right.
These
Yeah,
So
but I feel
a
like if
couple of
you're
weeks.
watching it and then you watch Raw the next week and then Raw the next week and then Mania, you would have forgotten about it.
I completely forgot that they lit a table on fire at Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
And maybe because whenever they do it, it's essentially on fire for a second, and then Foley flips the table, and then the fire goes out immediately.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of forgettable.
It is, and I agree with that. But if you take it like a breadcrumb, it is very interesting because you gotta love that storytelling, right? Two nights later on Raw, Foley comes out, cuts a really great promo, basically telling Edge, "Do you know what you've done? Like you have woken up this Cactus Jack side of me." But he also says something really weird after the thumbtacks that he got in his face on Saturday night's main event. On Raw Monday, he says, "When I tasted my blood, I immediately thought Chinese food." Because I was thirsty for more.
Yep.
That's what he says.
I was like,
He says, except I wasn't thirsty for my blood. I was thirsty for yours, Edge, right?
I want Chinese food now.
And and he says at the end of that promo, Edge, you spoke the truth, and at WrestleMania, you'll find out the truth hurts.
Yeah.
It's so good. I got chills thinking about it. It's so good.
This promo is so good. At this point, you just knew that something fucking nuts was going to happen at WrestleMania.
You had to.
And something
And you were
fucking nuts does happen at WrestleMania.
So right after
The Boogeyman debuts.
Oh, well, okay. That's true.
That was
is
pretty
nuts.
fucked up.
That is nuts. You're absolutely right. So after Foley says that on the March 20th edition of Raw, Lita comes out and says, "Listen, Edge isn't here. He's still in Detroit after the concerto. I'm asking you, y'all just have a wrestling match."
I love it because she goes on and on. She's like, he can't even fly. It's like she has a vertigo and stuff.
Right.
No, he's got a fucking concussion.
She's so funny.
But Foley says, "I'm not dumb. I know what's happening. This is the part where you slap me and distract me, and Edge comes up from behind." So Lita slaps him, and Edge tries to come up from behind, but he saw it coming, which I thought was really cool because you don't see that.
No,
because,
nobody ever actually admits, this is what we do every time we have a match
right,
like
this is exactly what's going to happen, especially because it's already happened, right? So I thought it was really neat.
Just makes me think of Big E on Twitter, just going,
yes.
why do we always run into the ropes? I don't know, Big E. It's only been 100 years. Why don't you ask?
Well,
Gotch.
I like it a lot because, again, you get a little bit of foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
So in this moment, Edge tries to rush the ring. Foley catches him, so Edge backs off, and he puts the mandible claw on Lita.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And, of course, the story there is Edge isn't jumping in to help her, which is making him look, weak
Would
in some way.
you attack Mick Foley to save someone?
Well, I wouldn't, but I'm also not Edge.
Good point.
And my girlfriend isn't the one getting mandible clawed, so I don't know.
I love how they always played the whole relationship was oh yeah, Lita's in love with Edge, but Edge just treats her like shit and she loves it. I'm pretty sure she doesn't. I'm pretty sure she hates this angle and she quit wrestling because of it. So
Yeah, so there you go.
Hey.
The next night, the next week on Raw, it's the Raw before Mania. Foley starts off the show by saying, "Listen, my bad. I've got gifts for you guys to make it up for you." He gives roses to Lita, and he has a box on stage while he's in the ring, and the box ultimately has a bat in it for Edge. Edge runs down.
I remember this.
Yeah, Edge runs down to the ring. Mick Foley had a box in the ring still, and he pulls out a bat covered in barbed wire. Barbie, as a matter of fact. It chases Edge and Lita away. But what I wanted to bring up about that promo is that it ends And the last image you see from this feud going into WrestleMania is Foley sitting down in the turnbuckle with the barbed wire bat like in his mouth, and he's like chewing on it, and his mouth is bleeding.
And did you catch the music that was playing while he did this?
No.
It's the Cactus Jack music.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right.
It's not the Mick Foley car crash music.
So that's really interesting.
And it's the only time, if I remember this correctly, that's the only time that we hear that music throughout this entire feud.
Yeah,
he
'cause-
doesn't
Yeah, 'cause
come
he
out
comes
to
out
the
to-
Cactus
yeah.
Jack
he
music
uses
at
car
WrestleMania.
wreck. He just
You know what's also what I thought was very bizarre is that the other things, and I didn't mention this when we were talking about the actual like week-to-week build, is at one moment, and I think this is maybe after the Candice Michelle thing or something, I don't know, they play a weird like Edge like movie trailer. And they say it's rated R, and it's like a highlight of what Edge has done and what he's done to Foley. And then after he chases, Mick Foley chases Edge out with Barbie in this very last promo, they play a Mick Foley movie trailer, and it's rated H for our hardcore.
Oh,
and
I love this.
And I thought WrestleMania 21 was Hollywood. Why? Like,
Yeah,
it
like
was
you're a
very
year late.
weird.
I didn't care. I loved it. I
It was
absolutely
good.
loved
It was just, it felt very out of place. I just was very confused.
I mean,
by the whole-
Chicago is like the Hollywood of the Midwest. So
So,
That's fair to say,
guys, people have talked about this build being one of the best builds in WrestleMania match history.
It's amazing.
And I think we've paid homage to that by spending literally an hour on the build.
Have we actually spent that long?
Well, I think the first 40 was on the background lives and stories of Edge and Foley.
Because they're worth it.
It was good. And I'm
Yeah,
not
it's a-
complaining
it's a
about
long
it.
story to tell.
I'm just saying.
It's good stuff. So what a match this was, guys.
Oh yeah, I mean, first off, Edge comes to the ring, fucking altar bridge. Oh, so good.
So good.
And I
Oh,
love
man.
the like bowling vest shirt things that Edge and Lita are wearing. I
With
think
the
they're
big R on the
fantastic.
back,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think they're
He's
so
got the
good.
bat that Mick gave him. Like I'm gonna kill this, like shuddering, like I'm gonna fucking kill this son of a bitch, like
So-
pulling his hair out, like
Yeah.
let's fucking do this, Edge.
I will say about the entrances, I would really appreciate nobody ever talking about Joey Styles' virginity ever again.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
So let me say, to remind everyone, in case you're unaware, commentary is Joey Styles and Jerry Lawler. JR
Yeah.
is pictured in the beginning, but he doesn't call the match. And then the referee is Mickey Henson, who is the slowest 3-counter besides Scott Armstrong that I've ever seen.
Oh,
And it
I
drives me
hated this
nuts.
referee.
He was
kept,
the worst.
He kept getting in the fucking way.
Right. So
Like,
to your
bro.
point, basically, when they introduced Joey Styles, who, by the way, was the voice of Raw at that point, like he was the play-by-play commentator
Yeah.
on Raw,
Do you
and he
know
doesn't
why?
call WrestleMania.
Do you know why he was a play-by-play guy for Raw?
I know eventually it's to get him to the ECW.
It was to
Yeah.
build up for One Night Stand, because a couple weeks after this, he has the whole, come on, Joey, let's have fun. Screw you, King. This is bullshit. I hate this stupid company. I quit.
They mocked God.
Yeah, he
that one.
mocks God.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, fuck you, Joey.
So Joey Styles, when they introduced him, says, "I'm excited to break my WrestleMania virginity." And later,
Tonight, Lita's going to break her hardcore virginity. I'm like, you're an asshole.
so it was a little bit of an awkward intro for sure.
Yeah.
Didn't love it.
After that, I'm like, okay, let's get
But Foley comes out next, and he isn't, and they make sure to note that he's not wearing his red and black.
Yeah, he's wearing like dark, like blue and gray, and I'm like, I don't remember him wearing this during the
So
match.
I loved this.
That was
So
great.
Foley walks out, like you said, he's wearing that oversized flannel over, but he does have the red and gray, and you can kind of see it peeking
little bit,
through
yeah.
underneath the big blue flannel he's wearing.
Yeah, but imagine if you
And
were
it's-
there live, you would not be able to tell.
Right.
It's sort of conspicuous at first, or at least it would be to someone who's just like maybe going back and watching it because we're covering it right now. But if you would go back and watch the Raws leading up to, or the Saturday Night Main Event leading up to WrestleMania, this is not the first time he's worn this.
Yeah,
Right.
he didn't wear the red.
He's been wearing a big oversized flannel over his red thing. Like, so now that we're desensitized to it, it sort of normalizes it here, making the reveal a few minutes into the match.
Oh, yeah, just-
hits
oh,
so
so
hard.
Well, because like I forgot he wore this, and I'm like, I could have sworn he like wore like a jacket or something, and then like 30 seconds into the match, like, oh no, it's a couple minutes. They like brawl on the outside. Edge tries to kill him with the bat.
yeah.
Immediately gets put in the tree of woe and takes the frickin' running elbow. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do this.
Knowing what we know now, seeing Foley do that diving elbow to Edge in the Tree of Woe, and seeing him land on his side, Ugh, it's just painful.
Yeah, it's I can't imagine what
And
he
I
feels.
just remember, like, because like I said before, we talked about this the other night. I remember this being like opening move of the match was a spear. No. It's like 2 minutes in. They brawl.
Yeah, Foley kind of gets the upper hand early. Like, he kind of goes through his regular shtick.
Oh, yeah.
And then Edge takes control.
Hey, big boot running elbow. All right, let's do the spear.
Yeah.
And then, no, I'm sorry. He hits him with like 3 different cookie sheets.
Oh, my
Oh, that's right.
God.
He does a baseball
Oh,
slide.
God.
on the road sign.
Into a road sign, like right into Mick's face.
That cookie sheet shot
Oh.
was to Foley's temple, and it sounded like a gunshot went off.
Well, I will say this with the cookie sheets. They are extremely gimmicked. They're designed to like immediately like crumple around you so they don't hurt.
But oh my God, are they loud?
Well, they're designed to be loud, and they're designed to just immediately just kind of break so they don't hurt anybody. They sound amazing. The same with the aluminum trash cans. They're not that painful because they break.
But they look great.
But getting hit in the fucking temple that hard is going to hurt.
Right. Absolutely.
And I just love this because we talked about this the other night. This is my favorite part of the match. Edge goes to spear Mick Foley, and he hits him. But all of a sudden, you see Edge is like selling his arm. Camera cuts, and he is bleeding. And I'm like, I don't remember him bleeding that much. They're like, oh, Edge may have dislocated his shoulder on the spear there. Mick rips that shirt off. He's wrapped himself in barbed wire.
So I've seen this match several times before.
Mm-hmm.
And this watch was the first time that I had noticed at the last second, Foley opens up
Oh, yeah.
that big flannel that he's been wearing. He does it like literally a millisecond before Edge hits him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
And Edge is bleeding.
It's great. It's
and
so
there was
good.
a moment where I'm like, is that real barbed wire? No, Edge is bleeding quite badly from his shoulder. I don't think he played it because he's got like 3 or 4 punctures and he's just bleeding.
So Foley takes like, wire cutters,
Yeah,
right? And
that were
takes it
taped
off.
to his ankle. He just pulls wire.
Yeah.
And then he wraps it around.
He starts like using it like a whip almost.
Yeah, he
this
whips
barbed
him. He like,
wire.
wraps it around his face, and it's like, Jesus Christ, Mick!
And
Oh God!
Joey Styles says barbed wire will slice skin, mutilate muscle, and tear tendons. And so obviously telling the fact that Edge hasn't had really experience with barbed wire, and it's getting, I personally don't know what barbed wire across my face feels like. So, I appreciate
Not
the story
good.
being told.
And then, like, without missing a beat, Mick immediately produces Barbie. I'm like, here we fucking go.
Yep, Edge's arm is bleeding, and that may be be only the first appendage to suffer here tonight from Joey
It
Styles. And he was
certainly
absolutely
is.
right.
well, at one point, Edge gets his arm caught in the rope, and I couldn't tell if this might have been a blessing in disguise because of how bad the bleeding was in his arm. It was just
Right.
like, well, maybe this will stop the bleeding
Yeah,
for
it
a
was pretty
while.
bad. It's just like he's caught in the ropes, and then Mick is gonna kill him with Barbie. Lita jumps on Mick's back, and I'm like, I don't remember this. And then he does the fucking Cactus Jack help
Yeah, he does.
over the top rope with Lita on his shoulder.
and you
Lita
can just
hits
hear
just
Lita's
straight thump.
thud
Yeah.
of Lita hitting
she
the
hits
floor.
the ground like, oh God, Lita, please stop interfering in the match.
It's the first time she interferes, and obviously won't be the last. But Joey Styles had earlier referenced Lita by saying she's as dangerous as she is desirable. So the fact that she interferes early on, you're reminded that Foley's gonna have to think about this the whole time. But when he dumps her over the top rope, when he throws Edge over too, you're thinking maybe she's done. Like, she might be done.
Well,
because
she hit
took-
the apron and then hit the floor pretty fucking hard.
Right.
There's a point they thought she hit her head on the apron. She didn't, but she almost did. And then when her tailbone hits the floor,
That tailbone. It made me think of Kurt Angle very quickly. I was like, I don't like that at all.
And he finished that match with the broken
Yeah.
tailbone. That's kind of what it felt like.
well, I
'cause
mean,
it was so
Lita
loud.
finishes this.
That's true.
And then, gentlemen, once again, returning to the podcast, the dish punches.
Oh, so good. Boy, I love those.
Dish, bang, bang. Yeah. And then immediately gets hip tossed into the stairs.
Oh, that's an ugly one. The hip toss into the stairs.
Followed by the classic Foley knee steps.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
And I feel like it doesn't matter how many times I watch the Foley knee steps. I feel like it's harder and faster every time I see them.
It is. I just feel like he's like, no, I'm just going to throw all my weight into this.
Yeah, just let me fucking just take them out. Who cares? I don't need them
It's
anymore.
no wonder why the man can't put his own socks on anymore.
It's unreal. So after Foley is starting to get physically abused, Edge goes and sets up the table. So we're about 6 minutes into the match, right? And he goes,
it's pretty early.
yeah, sets up a table on the
But you have to
outside.
remember, this isn't Mick Foley's first hardcore barbecue.
No, it is not, Joey.
So did he say that? I
God.
forgot he said
Literally
that. I forgot he said
does.
that. Foley rolls off the table after he gets put on by Edge. And Edge climbs off the turnbuckle that he was about to jump off of and slams Foley's head into the ramp.
The thud from this slam. You talk about a gunshot from the cookie sheet. No, this was a shotgun blast.
Yeah.
And to be fair, this is the same ramp that just an hour or so later will rise up for John Cena to come out with CM Punk on the car and the whole thing.
Yep.
I completely forgot
Yes.
about that.
Yeah,
So
this
you
is
know that's not a gimmick ramp.
That's my third CM Punk reference in this episode.
What?
What is happening?
What is wrong with you?
Well, that reference is kind of like CM Punk going from on the side of the car rail to winning
Hey.
the WWE Championship
Yeah.
at Money in the Bank.
Hey. You know, we're pretty good at summoning things to happen.
Hey,
But hey,
listen.
look, we did a CM
We're
Punk
talking
match.
about CM Punk at WrestleMania.
Next week, he pops up backstage.
We
Oh, that-
want all the credit. We want it all.
Okay, we brought back King of the Ring. We
Yes.
brought back CM Punk.
Yes.
There was something else we did. What else did we do?
I think we talked about Edge a couple weeks ago.
We did. We did talk about Edge.
What? We're stretching it, but I like it. Yeah.
Look, we talked about Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 5. We're gonna resurrect him from the dead next.
That's ultimately our power. So I'm
Yes, it
proud of
is.
us in advance.
We're friends with Izzy. Damn it!
Yeah, anything can happen. Edge, now that Foley has been concussed on the ramp or something,
Oh, that's an understatement.
takes a lighter fluid from underneath the steps and
just douses him in lighter fluid.
Douses Foley in lighter fluid, and awesome.
And
So
I'm
fun.
glad, but he gets a pulling pile driver for his.
Hey, that pile driver looks great too. Boy, did that pile driver look good.
I love that. Said not quite as good as yours, King. And then King goes, "What? Oh, yeah, the pile driver. Yeah, I did that in the '80s."
So is anybody else extremely uncomfortable with how quickly Foley starts to bleed after getting hit with Barbie?
He gushes.
It's literally a millisecond after
Well-
the barbed wire bat hits his face.
So-
It's-
I don't think he bled it. I think he got
Well,
by
I
barbed
actually,
wire.
and I want you to look back at it because I've obviously seen that. We've obviously all seen the match a lot at this point. But I kind of played this particular moment back and forth a couple of times because I do feel like, and I could be totally making this up, but I think I saw this when Edge runs at Foley with Barbie to hit him in the face. It looks like there's slight red on his face before he gets hit.
maybe so.
Okay.
But I don't quote me on that.
That's a trick that they do.
Right, but it does. It happens very quickly, which is why it works.
Well, to
but,
be fair, if you've got long hair, it's even easier. You just go,
yeah,
all right, I'm gonna have if I have a little bit, it doesn't matter because I'm gonna take the chair shot or the barbed wire shot. When I hit the mat, I'm gonna go. All right, open up, roll over. Oh God, he's covered in blood. Oh my
Right.
God.
Right.
and it works to perfection
Yeah.
because man, oh man, nobody wears blood better than Mick Foley.
Yeah, everyone always talks about, oh yeah, Flair or Triple H, Mick Foley. That's a good bleeder. I don't know if that's a thing to be proud of, but like he's good at bleeding.
He would probably be proud of it.
You know,
admittedly.
like knowing Mick, he probably would. So that's a hell of a compliment, kid. Thank you. I'm like, Mick, I'm 30 years old. Well, you're a kid in my book. Like,
I don't know. I feel
I
like,
like this conversation.
I feel like nobody bleeds better than Shawn Michaels.
Ooh,
yeah.
he's a good
Okay,
bleeder.
so Shawn, Flair, Triple H, Mick Foley. That's the Mount Rushmore of bleeders in
okay,
wrestling.
hold on now. We are spoiling what is inevitably a spinoff, Last Bleeder Standing. Come on, guys. We're
All right,
ruining it.
so first match is going to be Batista versus Big Show and ECW.
We'll do
good.
JBL Eddie Guerrero. That'll be a good one.
Oh God, what's that? What's that match where John Cena is literally covered head to toe in his own blood?
Oh, is that
I
JBL
forgot about
too?
that.
Oh, that's a like. There's a people go, I want bleeding back. No, I don't because I don't want to
That
see
was
that again.
bad.
There's the match on SmackDown where Eddie gigs himself and
Ooh, how about Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton? Remember when Orton? And I don't know how intentional that was, but
that I don't think he meant to do that.
that's some blood there.
Who was the referee in ECW?
Yeah, Jim Molyneux and Tom Finnegan.
It was the skinny guy.
Oh,
No, not a referee, not a referee. Maybe he was a referee. He was the
was-
manager.
Oh,
What's that guy's
shit.
name?
Fonzie, Bill Alfonso.
Bill Alfonso.
He was a referee.
Bill Alfonso can fucking bleed.
Oh yeah, he has a match.
He has a match against Beulah.
and they both fucking.
And they
bleed.
both bleed, and it's the bloodiest thing I've ever seen.
Oh God, he lost like 2 pints of blood.
What a
and
reference!
he go to the hospital.
What a reference!
We're
That
talking about
Alfonso.
bleeders.
Yeah, if you're going to.
Back when they actually had wrestling DVDs, go back and find ECW. What was it called? Bloodsport.
Oh, yeah.
What an apropos.
Just to put into
There you go again.
Just to put into perspective, the first match on there is the Taipei Death Match.
It
So
sure
there you go.
is.
So there you go.
This match is not going to happen because, oh, God, he gets brought up. This match is going to go through. Punch, punch, punch. Blood everywhere. Oh, my God. They're actually glass on their hands.
So I love how, getting back to this match.
Yeah. Sorry, we're back to Chicago.
Edge actually had a bag of tacks and brass knucks hidden in the steel steps.
Doesn't use the brass knucks, but he uses the fucking tats.
For some extreme acupuncture. Joe
Yeah,
Styles.
Edge becomes a pain-injected pincushion,
Yep.
a la the back.
I love
Yeah.
He pours the tacks on. Here we fucking go. I'm going to do a bulldog. No, you're not. Back suplex, motherfucker.
Yeah, he gets just
He just
covered.
sits up.
Well, I mean,
Boy, do I love Edge in this match so much.
it's the classic rule of if you set it up, you go into it.
That's
He
how it
is,
works.
and he is trembling when he sits up. Oh, God.
So Foley now, who of course is covered completely in blood, Edge now has thumbtacks all over his back.
And I like to think that Mick goes, oh, you're going to do the thumbtacks? I'm going to raise you one. I'm going to wrap Mr. Sacco in barbed wire and force it down your mouth. Oh, hey, Lita. Here, you get some of this, too.
Yep, and so bringing back the mandible claw on Lita, except this time
With the sock on. Right? That where you going?
wrapped in barbed
Oh,
wire,
there you
maybe.
go.
So,
Well, and I
yeah.
will say, Joey Styles says, and I do like this part. He says, because Mick Foley originally just puts the sock on, and Joey Styles says, it may not be hardcore, but it's effective.
Then he wraps the barbed wire.
Okay, now it's hardcore.
That was great.
Oh, God. He does the barbed wire mandible claw to both of them. And they cut back out of the ring when Lita rolls out of the ring. And you just see the blood coming out of her mouth. And I'm like, that's definitely real barbed wire.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's possible she could have had some kind of pill, whatever, but
Yeah.
it looks
good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's not over the top either, I don't
No,
think.
it's not. Like
so
you see-
it looks
like-
very good.
Like she's got cut lip, cut inside her mouth. There's
It
blood
kind of
coming
looked
out.
like Foley's mouth did when he was chewing on the barbed wire on Raw.
Yeah.
Right.
It kind of looks like that. Another Joe Styles quote, and the only reason I'm bringing this one up is because I'm curious if you guys thought the same thing. Joe Styles says, oral surgery being performed by the mad Dr. Mick Foley.
Yeah. And when we cut back to Edge, he is busted wide open.
Do you think that is what inspired Britt Baker to become a professional wrestler and a
Could
dentist?
be.
I don't know. We should ask Adam Cole.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say oral surgery by the mad Dr. Mick Foley. What was the other Dr. JR?
Oh, God. It was.
It's all I was thinking about the whole
yeah,
time
that
I
was
heard it.
the Doctor Bret Hart
On Patient
on
Steve
Patient
Austin.
Steve
Yeah,
Austin.
The
yeah.
physical
from the first-
dissection of the lower anatomy.
From the
The,
first
the
episode.
very
That's
the
what I
very
really think
first
of.
thing you hear on this podcast
Oh,
if you
man.
listen to episode 1.
That's absolutely right. There you
God,
go.
back in the old chocolate frosty milkshakes era.
Lawler says this is gruesome. Like, it's just he just said it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're not wrong.
I love that Mick goes set that table up because it's still there.
See, I thought there was just something picturesque, gruesome maybe, but picturesque about Foley with Edge leaned over the ropes, grinding Barbie across Edge's head. It's just
It
a
is
great
incredible.
shot.
It's an incredible image for a lot of reasons.
And-
One of them is the blood that's running down Edge's face. I mean, it is horror movie blood.
Yeah,
Like, that's
and-
how it looks.
and
It
what I
is
love about it is,
just
like,
perfect.
Edge doesn't do like a pro wrestling. It's like a like he's about to cry because he's
Yeah.
in so much pain. Like it's just like a very realistic sell he does here, and I appreciate that. But as I said before, Mick, who's at this point still covered in lighter fluid. He sprays some lighter fluid on the table on the outside,
Oh boy.
and I'm like, oh, what are we going to do? Well, he's not paying attention to Lita. She hits him in the dick with Barbie.
Oh no. Joey Styles says the knee.
That was not the knee. That was balls.
What did you hit me in the dick?
It was very, very below the belt. Yeah.
That was in the balls.
I completely agree.
It could have been the leg. Maybe like the middle part of the bat hit him in the shin. Or something.
It looks very much like.
That was his balls.
Hope you're done having children.
Yeah.
Whack.
Well, I'm pretty sure he is.
He was. But
And then she proceeds to put even more lighter fluid on this table, sets the motherfucker on fire, and without missing a beat, Edge spears Mick off the apron through a flaming table. Holy fucking shit. And I have one question to ask both of you. Are you aware that Edge has a star tattooed on his right arm?
A star.
A star on his right shoulder.
Yeah.
Do you know why he has a star tattooed on his right shoulder?
Because he got severely burned.
Oh, yeah. He got third-degree burns in his right shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's obvious because his arm will not stop twitching.
Yeah. Well, you can see Edge. Well, you can see Foley is clearly has some kind of protective thing, and he did go back first into the table.
Well,
but
Mick is also wearing a singlet, a T-shirt, and a flannel.
Right.
Yeah.
Edge, no protection.
No.
He goes straight into the flames, just like, here we go.
Well, he hits the flame, and there's a point where he gets caught in you see in the replay, his feet get caught in the ropes, and he has to put his right arm out because he was going to land on his face. And when he hits the table, it closes up and basically sandwiches him.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see, he immediately jumps back and rolls away, then goes to pin Mick 1, 2, 3. And when he looks up and he's
everything
blood in his eyes,
from Edge convulsing in Lita's arms to the blood dripping down his face, it turns his eye a crimson red.
His right eye is completely overtaken by the blood.
It's an absolutely stunning visual.
Here's the thing: I don't think Edge is selling here. I think he legitimately is like.
And so I want to credit him
because
with being this incredible sell, but it looks like it could be very
when
real,
he climbs the ramp and goes, yeah, that right arm will
It's
not
still
stop
shaking.
trembling. And if you look at it, you can see it his shoulder muscle looks slightly deformed.
Well, and you can see if you look at Mick Foley, he's checking his arm hair. He's
he's rubbing the singed hair off of his arm.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
In an interview from 2015 with Crave Online, Edge says that he couldn't believe that the WWE let him get away with that spot with Foley. He says, it was my idea, stupidly, and of course I knew Mick would be in because he's just
Mick
as
will do
stupid as I
anything.
am. I didn't think everybody else would sign off on that, but when everyone did, I was surprised. To pull it off with only a few burns and some burnt hair is one where I'm like, how did we pull that off? How did it get through all those levels that it had to? The margin for error in that was so minuscule.
Well, I'll say this right now. What are they going to do? Oh, we're going to cut to the back. No, you're not. This is the most over feud, the best match on your card. Vince is not going to cut away. He'll chew them out behind the curtain. And I'm like, we're going to fire me, Vince? I don't work here full time. And Edge is going to go, I'm like your top heel.
Yeah.
You can't fire me.
At this point, I think it's arguable that this may be the match, like we talked about at the beginning of the show.
Right.
After going through and talking about it for damn near an hour and a half, is this the match that solidifies Edge as the main event player?
I think so.
Think about what happens after. I mean, he then feuds with Cena over the title for the next what feels like forever.
Right?
Yeah, for the rest of the year.
For the rest of the year. So I think you're absolutely right. I think that's
Literally
almost undeniable.
until Survivor Series.
Right.
With that said, do we think this is the final high-profile hardcore match in WWE history? I'm not counting the PG watered-down Extreme Rules bullshit.
I think...
Is this the last actual hardcore match?
No. I think the last pure hardcore match is the Extreme Rules tag team match at One Night Stand, literally 2 months later.
They do have the one.
They do have the one night
Where
stand.
it's Edge and Mick Foley, and that tag team is not explained very well.
Right.
It's like, weren't you two trying to kill each other? Yeah, but he shocked me. Nobody else is that vicious, and if you got somebody that vicious, you want him on your team. No, you don't, Mick. No, you don't. You do not want to be their tag team partner. But they, oh God, the match they have with Terry Funk and Tommy Dreamer, it is hard to watch.
It is tough.
And when it comes, if anybody ever asks me, how's that match so hard to watch? I got 2 words for you. My eye! My eye!
Yeah.
Son of a bitch took my eye!
Yeah, I remember that.
But first of all, it was a great Terry Funk. In
Oh God, it's the best sell either because they're like, oh my God, he lost his eye because he comes out 5 minutes with a fucking eye patch on.
It's the most ridiculous.
With the branding eye, you're like, oh dear God, Terry, please.
I think it's fair to say that it is maybe perhaps the last high-profile hardcore quote-unquote match that we get.
Because after this, we get Extreme Rules matches, which are always watered down. If there is blood, it's stopped immediately so they can plug it while the Cran chants "fuck PG."
Pretty much.
Favorite moments?
Oh, like the realization that Mick has covered himself in barbed wire.
That's a pretty great moment.
I love it. It would be. I feel like it would be kind of weird if none of us said the spear through the flaming table.
Well, I didn't want to say that because
It's the
that
moment
is,
you
like,
remember.
that's like the top 5 OMG moments of like WWE history.
Right.
So
I've watched OMG. That's like literally the top 5.
I really love the story that's told with the barbed wire in the beginning too.
I do
Paul. I
too.
think I would have to agree with you because I think it's unexpected. It's a beautiful piece of storytelling, and it's a great start to the match.
Well, there's actually
I
a
love
lot
it
of like. There's actually like. I mean, I watched this match. Like, I always watch the matches like 2-3 times. This is the only time where I've just watched a match like 3 times back to back to back.
Yeah.
Because the first time I want to get like I want to get like the main story of the match. I want to write down big spots, things I want to talk about. I watch it again because that's when I want to like write down things like extreme acupuncture and stuff like that. Like the hotness. That third time, no, I'm just gonna watch it again.
Yeah.
And when I watched that third time, I'm like, there's a beautiful story being told here.
Yeah.
That you might miss that first time through. And I'm watching and I'm like, oh, well, like, especially when we talk about like leading into this, like Mick, all right, Mick's approaching 40. He's been retired for years. He's not this vicious son of a bitch anymore. Yeah, he is. He is. He wrapped his body in barbed wire. Like what is he going to do to himself to get to Edge? And it's
This is Mick Foley earning his WrestleMania moment.
and he does. It's beautifully.
Yeah.
And honestly,
And that is, at the end of the day, the story that they were telling from the beginning of this feud.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what ropes Mick Foley in, or that's what Edge tries to do, right? It tries to tell him like, listen, you've never won at WrestleMania. I've never been beaten. What's your best WrestleMania moment? You don't really have one.
No, at this point, his WrestleMania moment was like surviving a match with the Big Show.
Yeah, but you walk out of this one and it's clear what
Yeah.
Mick Foley's WrestleMania moment is.
It reminded me a little bit like shades of the Royal Rumble match, but like that was pure Cactus Jack rabid dog. I'm gonna kill myself to get to you. This was more like maybe you're right. Maybe I don't have it anymore, but motherfucker, I'm going to traumatize you
Yeah.
in ways like I think my favorite promo of all time is Mick Foley. Like it's years later. It's like Edge. I saw you walk into that match. And I saw you try to walk out of that match.
Yeah. I remember that.
That's really good. Oh, that's so good.
I gave myself goosebumps
Yeah.
right there.
When I think about, and I first of all am not really looking forward to doing this Mania on Last Mania Standing. It's not great.
No, it isn't.
There's some really good moments though, and this is, I think, at the top of them. I think this is the match of the night.
Honestly, I think the only other match that competes with this, ironically enough, is Vince and Shawn, and that's all Shawn.
Yeah,
Michaels.
when I go back and watch this WrestleMania, if I do, it's those two matches. If they were given the time, Kurt, Randy, and Ray would be incredible.
Yeah, but they had what?
They had 9 minutes or something
they had
stupid.
8 or 9 minutes.
Yeah. So, on a WrestleMania card in 2006, Mick Foley and Edge have the match of the night, and it's one that's going to go on our list of the 100 greatest of all time, which is awesome.
Speaking of 100 and lists, we gotta do it, guys.
Says who?
And I am actually very nervous about this one.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough.
It gets harder every single time.
It's so hard to review a match like this.
It's obvious to compare it to number 20 currently on the list.
Yeah, we're all going to go there.
Cactus Jack versus Triple H. What do we think?
I felt like they took things like, I was one step further. No, I think they took things like 2 or 3 steps further in that one. No, this one, excuse me. Here's my thing. I want to put this one above that one, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like I would be shortcutting that match if we put this one above it. Although this is a much more like fast-paced car crash, in your face. We're going to hit each other with fucking...
It is. It's not the main event for the WWF Championship.
No, it isn't.
But it's a story that's been pretty much Mick Foley's entire career in the making, which is why I felt it necessary to spend 40 minutes on
I agree.
their careers.
I agree. So I do like this match more, and it's not just because of the flaming table, and it breaks my heart that this match is remembered for the fucking table spot, because...
There's a lot more to it than that.
This match is like 15 minutes long. The table spot is literally 45 seconds, and it's the end of the match. So, yeah, of course, it's going to be the thing you're going to remember the most. But, dear Lord, like...
Please watch it from start to finish.
Yes. Watch this match, like, watch the promo package. Watch the inches, watch the entire match. Watch, like, the closing segment of Edge, like, literally trimming and Lita's arms. His right arm won't stop shaking with blood in his eyes. Watch the whole damn thing.
I think this match encapsulates in 15 minutes why we love Mick Foley, but also why we love Edge.
I love Edge because he's a vicious son of a bitch.
And I'm going to say it, why we love Lita.
Yeah.
Because she gives no fucks. She interferes in the TLC match that we talk about and takes crazy bumps. And she's here ready to do that insane flip over the top and land on her ass on the floor. She'll take the barbed wire in her mouth.
I was going to say, like, Lita was involved in, like, what,
she's
3 of the first
She's
TLC
the one that lit
matches?
the table on fire.
And she's a big part of the whole feud throughout.
Yeah, but, like, I think the craziest spot she's taken in a match is in this match.
Yeah.
Like, she took crazier, like, the freaking being on Mick Foley's back for the Cactus Jack clothesline over the top rope. I feel like that's a crazier spot than anything she did in the TLC matches.
Well, in the TLC match, if you remember, Edge
She got gored through a table.
Right, and
speared, I'm sorry.
She gets speared and her head hits a ladder, but that was unintentional. So it's not like it was intentional like it was in this.
Ironic that Edge spears her.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Somewhere Matt Hardy's like, I don't want to talk about this, guys.
Yeah.
The angelic Diablo.
This one's so tough to rank. So Paul, you're saying, or Lana, which one are you saying that it was going? You want to put it over?
I would actually put it above it.
I'd put it over Cactus Jack Triple H, but that doesn't necessarily mean I want it at 20.
Yeah,
I would put it higher than 20.
I would too.
Oh boy, I guess when I'm looking at it, because I do love the story that it tells. I think it's a really good story.
I think I would put this. I'm struggling if I want to put this right above Royal Rumble or right underneath Royal Rumble.
So okay, let's compare it to Jushin Thunder Liger versus the Great Muta. We've already brought it up.
Yeah.
While we're talking about it, so what did that match do better or worse than the one we just discussed?
Scared the shit out of me and everybody in attendance.
It's absolutely terrifying. Which you could say that this match did the same thing.
True.
It's two incredible characters.
Oh yeah, we also debut of Kishin Liger, debut of the Red Mist, trying to impale the spike through Muta's face.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. They're also a decade apart.
Would you go back to Liger versus Muta before you went back to this match?
Probably not. I would probably watch this one first.
Okay. What about Angle Taker? Number 15.
I would not put it above that.
Okay.
But I would probably, this was half the length, so I'd probably watch this one. I'll go back to this one first, but I would not put it above that match.
I think I feel the same way. I think Angle Taker is a match that comes to my brain whenever I think about what are some of the greatest matches of all time. Edge versus Mick Foley at WrestleMania is an amazing match. It's an amazing moment. It deserves a spot on this list. But it's not necessarily one of the first thing that pops in my head when someone tells me, hey, what's your favorite match? So I think it would be fair to put it kind of right there underneath Angle Taker.
All right, 16?
Number 16.
That's right around where I was thinking of putting it. It's just one higher.
So a few thoughts that I'm having. One of them is I think that the reason why we don't initially think of this match as one of the greatest ever or one of our favorites or whatever is because this is a match that I think has to be digested and has to be absorbed. And it's not if you watch it once on the fly, you think, oh boy,
whoa, what a battle.
That was a spectacle
Yeah.
and fun, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. But when you start breaking it down, kind of like we've done, as we've relived it over this last 3.5 hours, I think that there's so much more to it.
Yeah,
And
there's
that-
a lot of subtle storytelling in
And
this
so
match.
I know I've grown an appreciation for this match just from doing the research and working on it. And I hope that you guys listening have also kind of had a similar experience where you kind of understand this match on a different level, because I know that's how I'm feeling. Because going into this conversation, I had it at 22, right?
Really?
Under CM Punk and Undertaker, and above Gail Kim and Awesome Kong, just because it's the best match of the night on a WrestleMania that's a little subpar in terms of matches.
Yeah, on a night where the show overall underperformed, this match overperformed.
But I would argue that if you take this match out of WrestleMania 22 and put it on a WrestleMania 21 card, this match would still stand out.
Oh, I think so. Even though it's got to go up against fucking like Shawn Michaels and Kurt Angle.
Right.
It's like you got to compete with that or like
Yeah.
first Money in the Bank. I still think this match would be like, no, fuck you.
Okay, an idea I just had, trying like for last, like put together our dream Mania card
That
with
would be
all these
fun.
matches.
I
Something
think
that
to
would
think
be
about.
fun.
Yeah.
We're going to do that.
I would
somewhere.
still start the show with Bret Hart versus Owen Hart.
It would be.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But we might at one point talk Eddie and Ray as show opener, and that's a really great one too. We'll talk about that. Maybe we'll do it to
Well,
where
I mean,
there's 3 different venues.
Let's 3 venues. Or if we do Brett Owen, then we can't do Brett Steve. Or can we? Fuck it.
It's
Double
fantasy.
duty!
He did double duty at WrestleMania 10.
did.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
that'll be like our main event. It'd have to be just to give Brett time to rest.
We're
For
totally
this show, it's
in.
not happening.
We're in, Spencer.
Yeah,
We're doing
thank
this.
you. Yeah. Okay.
We're
good. I'm
doing
glad.
this. We're going to build the greatest Mania card of all time.
All that to say, I can live with 16.
You can live with 16.
I can live with.
I like
16.
16. 16's a good number. I was 16 years old when this match happened.
So it's this fate.
I remember watching it and going, holy shit, what have I been missing out on?
Well, what a roller coaster this has been. It's been so fun. We hope you've enjoyed it because we certainly have. Wherever you are listening to us on your podcast, feel free to share, rate, subscribe, the whole thing.
And tell a friend.
Yeah, tell a friend.
And hey, if you're listening to us early on Patreon, thank you so much.
Yeah, because you decided this match.
Also, tell a friend.
Yeah. We appreciate you. Obviously reach out to us on Twitter at LastMatchCast, or you can send us an email at lastmatchstanding@gmail.com if you'd like to give us a match suggestion or give us any feedback because I make lots of mistakes. So hopefully you caught one and you'll tell me what it was. But we don't know where we're going to be next time, whether it'll be in Chicago, Illinois for WrestleMania 22. Probably not a whole lot of great matches left on that card, but inevitably we'll be covering one of the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time. So until then, I'm Spencer.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Landon.
And this
Is Last Match Standing.
Big time, I'm on my way, I'm making it. Big time, can you see me winking at you?